Punishment is a scary word. Like, I'm normally a pretty good student. I studied hard for tests, my parents were never called to come to school, I occasionally ate chips in class, but all in all, I would even go on to say I was an exceptional student. But everyone's gotten into trouble in school at some point, and sometimes the punishments can be frightening. My two biggest crimes in school were being late for school and not doing my homework. And so I've gotten pretty good at writing I will not be late for school with my handy dandy 3-layered pen invention. I've been sent to the back of the classroom being told to kneel down and put my arms in the air until my teacher felt I was worthy to come back. I've done these things called duck feet where you walk like a duck up a hill when the scary gym teacher finds you coming into school late. Oh, and I've also been spanked with a stick. I know hitting students in America is a big no-no, but in Korea, well, let's also say we're a free country of our own. It almost never happens anymore, but when I was in middle school, there were a couple of teachers that always made sure homework was done. For me, there were 3. My science teacher, who we'll call Mrs. Shucks, had in her possession this stick called the Stick of Love. Yeah, that's what she called it. She called it that because, quote-unquote, she hit us out of love. Very sweet of her, I know. I thought she was a cool teacher though because of this one time when she brought in this mini water shooting thing that looked like this. I remember getting hit by Mrs. Shucks a lot though. She always had this mic connected to this headpiece that she spoke into during class and would always dangle her stick of love around. Anytime I forgot to do my homework, thwack. I talked to my friends, thwack. I breathed, thwack. She was pretty nice about it and gave us the option to get hit either on the butt or the hands. I always chose to get thwacked on the butt because of my amazing butt of steel. I have this gift where I can flex my butt and it becomes unbreakable. It wasn't enough to block out the immense pain though. Sitting becomes painful, like sometimes it would hurt for the whole day. You'd think they go easy on us, but I mean, we were a bunch of middle schoolers. There is a reason why they say North Korea hasn't attacked South Korea yet, because they're terrified of the 8th graders and the Korean grandmas. Getting hit in the butt hurts, but you have layers of clothes protecting you. Getting hit in the hands though, that's a lot more scary, especially if the stick is thinner. The thicker sticks give it more depth like a thwack, whereas the thinner sticks give it a thwick and it stings a lot worse. Thin stick was the case for my history teacher, whom I'll call Mrs. Horse. Mrs. Horse was cool too, but she was a bit more strict. She would give us worksheets after every single class for homework, and if she found out that you had even one blank space on your worksheet, she would take out Stick of Love 2.0. I made sure I did my homework for her classes, but I did get thwacked once. It was during the middle of class, and she had just asked if there was anyone who hadn't filled out the worksheets. It turned out I was the only one of all 30 kids in the class to have not done it. What are the odds? Traitors. She told me to come up to the front of the classroom. It was completely dark with the only source of light being the dim TV screen where she had a copy of yet another worksheet opened up. She asked me to open up my hands, not like this, but like this because it hurts less that way. And I was thwacked, but not really. It was more of a pat on the hand. I'm pretty sure she felt bad for me because I saw a twinge of pity in her eyes. It was one of those, I'm hitting you because I can't not hit you because I can't show any special treatment, but you look weak so I'll let you off easy. You don't think I can take it, woman? Hit me harder. Harder! But the legendary thwacker was her technology and industry teacher. Yeah, that was a subject. It was one of those lesser subjects, and for some reason, all my T&I teachers were really interesting fellows. So one of them, he didn't thwack us, but he had this crazy temper tantrum one time. We were working on these mini automobiles out of wood, and as the teacher, he was working on one too. He had been working on his a lot longer than we had, and man, it was a beauty. One day on week 2 of building, the class was in absolute chaos. Everyone was yelling and not paying the slightest attention to anything our teacher was saying. Our teacher suddenly screamed at the top of his lungs and he slammed his beautiful car on the floor and stomped on it angrily until there were only little pieces left. The room was dead quiet. Without saying a word, he walked to the back of the class to a blocked off area. We let him cool down a bit and everyone behaved a bit more after that. I felt really bad because he had worked so hard on his car. Hours and hours of dedication was just gone in a matter of seconds. RIP. As for the thwacker, we'll call him Mr. Thwacker. He was this old guy with white hair and yellow teeth and smoked these weird smelling cigars in the back of the school any chance he got. He was pretty laid back, but legend had it though that he had this collection of bats he would always carry around and hit his misbehaving students with. But no one had ever seen them in person before until a rumor was going around that he had finally taken them out for one of his misbehaving classes. And near the end of our last year of middle school, when all our exams were done and everyone was super carefree and dying for school to let out, he came into class holding a long bat, but for some reason we didn't think much of it. We were learning about hyperloops, which are super fast trains, but that's not really important to the story, but it was interesting. I don't even remember what I was in trouble for, but me and 2 other kids were called up to the classroom. And then he ripped open his coat. Oh, no, not like that. He gently opened his coat and took out the legendary bats one bat at a time until 5 bats, varying in sizes, were out on display. It was a full-on bat collection. He somehow was able to hide all of his bats inside his clothes so you could never see them, except for the bat he had in his hands coming into class. He told us to choose a number between 1 to 5. Honestly, I think he just picked whichever bat he wanted regardless of the number. And just like that, I was officially part of a legacy. The thing is, ever since elementary school, any homework I put in my backpack most likely never came out. That doesn't mean I didn't do my homework altogether. That would be crazy. Education is important, and I took my education very seriously. I didn't go to high school, but that's a story for another time. I have this unsaid rule where I never do my homework at home, so I tried to make sure I did it all in school. If I didn't, well, thwack time. However, there's this one time we were in class, and the teacher hadn't even gotten into the material yet. And so I was like, why not? And I got my homework out. I guess I was at it for a while and didn't hear the class actually start, when I finally looked up to see my Korean teacher, Mrs. Krabs, staring right at me. Minnie, what are you doing? All eyes were on me. Please come see me at my office after class. I'll take these. You see, I had never been called to a teacher's office before except for when I was being good student Minnie, doing errands for the teachers or something along those lines. I had never been in there as bad student Minnie, so naturally I was horrified. After class, I walked through the hallway, which was oddly quiet, and opened the door to the teacher's office. I peeked inside and spotted Mrs. Krabs alone at her desk. I slipped in and walked down to her. I said hi, and she said hi back. Not too bad of a start. She told me she was very disappointed in me, and then her expression changed to complete rage. Does this sound like a joke to you? What? No, what? And then, realization hit me mid-chew. Flashback time. So, before I left the classroom, my friend gave me a piece of gum which I took without really thinking and popped it in my mouth. Like, I was really chewing it and getting that taste out of that glob. I was so nervous I had no idea that I brought gum to a one-on-one meeting with my already very angry teacher. And at that moment, I knew I was toast. Oh, I thought you were better than this. I am shocked to see such behavior from you. I am very disappointed in you. Oh, and you won't be getting these back. I didn't argue. I knew I deserved it. I probably came off that day as a rude, rebellious kid. I showed zero appreciation for her class, and I chewed gum in her face when I was obviously supposed to be on my knees pleading for forgiveness. My punishment that day was inner shame. But I learned my lesson, and after this incident, I never did my homework ever again. The end. Just kidding, do your homework, kids.